you're going live.
Dude, I always love hearing that every single time I hear it.
It's a magical laugh.
Yo, what's up? You're in the house with Carter and Crawford tonight. This is the place. This is DriveWire. Welcome. This is where art meets freedom. What we're going to be doing here, what we're looking to do is host people who are actually living the dream, local people, GTA people. We're not just GTA, though. You can find us on CFRE. You can find us on the radio. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, social. We are looking out. We're creating a community. The idea, if we can host people who are actually doing it, living the dream, have them in here, ask them how they did it, and they spit some cool stuff online, if we can use what they teach us, perhaps we can actually spend more time working on our art. Crawford, how you doing today, man?
Dude, man, I'm doing great, but here's what we can figure it out together, you know? Get successful together, you know? I'm doing good, though. It's a beautiful day out there. It's sunny. It's beautiful weather. You know, springtime is here. How are you doing?
Listen, man, I'm actually not doing that well. So I want to talk about we got a couple things here. There was a recent cut that was heads up in some funding for some arts across Ontario. The Ontario Music Fund was heads up that they're going to be actually losing a huge amount, about 55% of their
55%.
Yeah, a huge
of the
amount.
funding?
So I'm not going to take this political. I'm actually not. They went from 15 million down to 7 million, and this is a huge thing that I want people to understand. First and foremost, that's like $8 million that was available to people that you may or may not be trying to get. Well, it's gone right now, right? Perhaps we can lobby in the future.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, look, being aware politically, like, it's not really the coolest subject, it's not really sexy, it's not really fun, but having an idea of what's actually going on does affect you, because again, that's 55% less artists that are going to be able to get funded. Maybe there's people who want to dedicate their life to creating something beautiful for the rest of us, and what are they doing? They're 55% less chance of getting those grants.
Well, we also got to think about the lack of, how much impact was made before the 50%, the 55% I should say. There was already a bunch of people probably not getting into the exposure, not getting the access there, and then you take away 55% of their funding, millions of dollars. Now there's even more people that are not going to be able to get that, that resource that should be readily available to kind of everyone. How are you supposed to have successful art and musicians if you don't have any kind of money to help them?
Hey man, I mean that's awesome. That's all well and good. I also, on the other side, on the other side, the whole entire purpose for this show is to get artists who are well enough financially with their mind, like understand. Okay, look, I'm yes, an artist, but also on one hand, I'm actually a business. I gotta find a way to make a couple bucks so I can eat a meal because I need to eat. Yourself. Right? It's the whole like, if you have a golden goose that's laying golden eggs, can you push it to get as many golden eggs? Like, what if you kill the goose? Like, you gotta take care of the goose, man.
You gotta take care of it.
Okay, well, the way you take care of yourself, golden goose style, is you eat food and you work out and you have a gym membership. So like, we have to find a way to help these artists in their own right, and that's what DriveWire is about. So if you're checking it out, if you're the artist with the guitar in your bedroom like I was, or maybe you can spit some dope rhymes like our guest today, Brad. Maybe you need to find a team or the people or the systems or the distribution or the ideas that can actually push you one step farther, and that's literally what we've created it about.
It's pretty phenomenal.
Dude, I'm pretty stoked.
It's gonna be a change, and I hope you're all part of it with us.
Okay, we're going to a music break. What do we got coming up?
Imagine Dragons with Believer, believe it or not.
What is going on? My name's Carter. Welcome back to DriveWire. This is the place where art meets freedom. This is my favorite part of the show because we're actually getting into our guests here. We have in the studio Raz, spelled R-A-Z. What's up, man?
Not much, buddy. How's it going?
Dude, I'm
doing
well.
Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, man.
Honestly, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a guest on us, because it's incredible for you to be here. That's for us to be having you here. So
Awesome.
thank you.
No content without the guest, man. And when I heard you originally, they showed. I know. So Dom and Fran, SounDrives. I've been friends with them for a while. They showed me like, dude, we're in talks with this guy. Like they were still giddy about it. You know what I mean? And so they showed me like Chick Chick Bang, a couple of the other ones. I don't know if I'm allowed to name or not. And I've been really excited to talk to you, man. So welcome to the show officially.
Cool. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's exciting to be here. It's I even sat through traffic. That's how excited I am.
That's how excited, because it's a son of a gun out there in the traffic.
So straight from Brampton, right? The streets of Brampton. Born and raised?
Yeah, born and raised.
Love it, man.
My parents are from the Caribbean, South America, Trinidad and Tobago, and Guyana, South America. But I was born and raised Brampton. From there, went to Western. That was the first time I kind of moved away, actually.
Down in London.
University, in London. But yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
Get-go.
Listen, so I want to talk to you about this. A huge theme that seems to be coming up is this whole like Muslim faith. How does that impact your rap? Are you rapping about that? Is it just kind of in the background? It's just who I am. Like, where does that sit for you?
When you say it's coming up, you mean like around me, like when you
Perhaps it was just something that I heard. Yeah, like
you mean like in general? Or
well, actually, it was again Dom and Fram just letting me know like this is where you're at, and I had an opinion that was maybe influencing how you were creating some of the art. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, 100%. What's interesting is at Western in my second year is when I started actually recording and rapping and whatnot. Just kind of like, I actually jumped on a track. Do you guys know the track White and Purple that came out of Western? They took Black and Yellow from What's Going On.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The guys that made that song, in one of the residents, like Don guys.
Yep.
And I was in his room while they were making it. They actually had the chance to open for Joel Santana off that track.
Yeah. Nice.
In London, it was cool. And so I was in the room while they were recording that next track. And then I was like, yeah, I write. They're like, do you rap? I'm like, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess like a little.
I listened to a lot of like Lauryn Hill, Talib, Lupe, Common. Growing up, like up to that point, and I've been writing a little more seriously, and they're like, yeah, jump on, and then
there's a feature.
Yeah, they were like, oh yeah, just record. So I recorded whatever. It was actually on the Millie beat.
Oh, that's a sweet beat.
Yeah, and it was interesting because then I came back and to the residents later, and they were like, a few people, like a few of the first year students were like, oh, we love your track. And I'm like, what track? I don't have a track.
Yeah.
And then it was interesting because that guy in the residence, Cheyenne, shout out to Cheyenne, was like, yeah, I played it for them and they love it. They think, like, do you want to feature on this other track we're making? Because we're supposed to open for Joel Santana.
Oh, and
we need another track because we only have White and Purple.
So I want to ask you, so up to that point, because this is a huge thing that happens, man, is people will hear your story and they will think, man, Raz rapped once and he got recorded once. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I see a smile, bro. I see exactly. I see a smile. So second year university, you're what? 19, 20, right? Okay. When did you actually start rapping?
So
yeah, smile on your face. I see it. So what? Like 4 or 3? Like as soon as you popped out, you had to rhyme about it. Like
no, I think consciously, I don't know when I started rapping. I'd been writing a lot of poetry before then.
Cool.
Oh.
So I loved
just writing
literature.
lyrics, just thinking
poetry.
all the time.
Yeah, like my favorite part of English class was Shakespeare. Like I was that kid that was like the weird one that got excited.
Got excited when we were like,
we're gonna study King Lear.
Man, totally opposite.
And the teacher asked it, and the entire class was like, what is that? So I was writing a lot, and I think I was just rapping on my own a lot. Okay. I think just rapping like Lupe and.
Yeah, just sitting there kicking beats to yourself in your head, just like, oh,
yeah. So I wouldn't say I was a rapper. I think that came later. I was a writer, I guess you can call it that. But I took a lot of influence from people like Lauryn Hill, Talib Kweli, etc.
Okay.
And there was something about what they were saying and the way they made their music that made me question what I experienced every day.
Whoa.
So it made me say that, well, why do they? And this is actually going to get back to the whole Muslim thing and being Muslim.
Yeah, because we did start there.
Yeah.
Where that started.
So.
Interpreting
I wasn't
the world.
rapping.
Yeah,
I wasn't rapping necessarily,
but
I was just like, because I remember my mom says this is when I was young. She's like, you remember every word of every song.
Whoa.
So like, and that's like, we're from Trinidad, so we have like a mix of like Bollywood culture.
Yep.
And we're talking about like Hindi songs that I don't even know what they're saying, but I remember all the words. And it was something I realized as I got older. I was like, well, I have a knack for this. Which was cool. But it wasn't conscious, like I wasn't like, I'm gonna rap. I wasn't jumping in ciphers. I can freestyle, but I don't freestyle.
Was it not like being aware? Like you were consciously knowing you were doing all these lyrics, like the lyricism and the lyrics and the poems and everything, but like, did you ever realistically just ever think one day like, man, if I just threw some beats under this, I could rap?
Not that I remember.
So was that genuinely inspired in that room at West?
As far as I can remember, it was like I was like, yeah, I write.
Whoa.
And I knew I could rap. Actually, now I remember through like grade 10, 11, 12, I had 2 friends in high school that made songs.
Yeah,
You're right, yeah.
yeah.
They made songs and we would like, oh my god, we had like an MSN group.
MSN group!
We had an MSN group where we would just like type out rap battles. I forgot about that.
Man.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Right. Typing rap battles. That's pretty cool. Because so here's the thing, you know, when you send someone like a text and it's like it's actually a happy text, but they read it sad. So if you're like texting rap battles, you gotta get your like it's exactly on the beat because then people gotta read it. You know, it's like
it was.
Dude, that's intense. That's intense. Whoa!
So I guess I was exposed to it, and you're right. I always kind of knew from now that I think about it. I always kind of knew like my 2 friends were doing it, and they were awesome. And I always kind of knew that like I could do it.
I could do this.
And I knew I loved, but it wasn't something I took seriously.
Huge. Yeah.
And then they kind of fell off of it as we got older and got into university in grade 12 and whatever. But yeah, so I guess the first time it sparked again to record was in the dorm room.
And you just happened to be around, and you're like, I think I can spit some fire.
Yeah, like this whole Delaware Hall, like the residence Delaware Hall at Western with this resident like advisor. The first time I did it, and then got feedback on a recording. That's the first time
how much they loved it and
people liked it, man. There's such a boost of confidence. Like, oh, what track? You don't even know there's a track, and then people are giving you good reviews right there. Like, man, that's huge.
Exactly. And at university or college, it's awesome because it's just like a pool of like market research.
I know. Yeah.
That's exactly how to phrase it.
When I look back on it, I'm just like, you can put stuff out and get feedback. Put stuff out. And get feedback. And from that point, I guess I realized like I can do this and I want to do it. And to get back to the Muslim thing, the early stuff I was doing like on that Milli beat, I don't even remember what I wrote. I don't have the recording. I happened to find it
it's
one
just
time.
One day
it will be. Yeah, please bring it back into DriveWire.
It was a DriveWire exclusive.
Yeah,
release it here.
But it was interesting because when that Joel Santana thing came up, they were like, we want you to be on that second song and perform with us. I had always been, I don't like to use the word religious. I think if I say I'm religious, then it gives you an interpretation based on who I am and how I behave, of what being a Muslim should be.
Would you say
and
like...
if you meet another Muslim, you might apply that to them and give them a standard.
That's a bad human characteristic kind of
Whereas for Muslims, it's a way of life, so I'm at a different point in life than you are.
Yeah.
So I don't like to say religious. If I say I'm religious and you're not Muslim,
spiritual though.
You know what I mean?
Spiritual, is that fair to say? Like,
I would say I'm practicing. Like my family's always been practicing, and I got to the point where, I mean, I was in university. I was young, and I was like back and forth with it, like practicing, doing my best, and then not. And practicing, doing my best, and then not. Yeah. And I think what really hit me is when I realized that I had the opportunity was there to open for Joel Santana, and people were like, "Oh, you got to put that recording on,
this
hear
is
something, and like slip it to him and do whatever." I realized very quickly, as people picked up what I was saying, I was like, "Is this what I want to be saying?"
Yeah.
If people are taking it, right?
Because people are going to be listening to this and kind of referencing to who I am as a person, and they could use these dumb lyrics that I just put out to kind of make a cool beat, and then I'm kind of making it. Now I look like a dumb person, bad person, so I use these stupid lyrics to sort of fit in with the game as the picture's been painted.
And what it did was it forced me to like reevaluate who I was and where I wanted to go, because when I decided to, like, okay, I'm going to start doing this, it's like I got to change what I'm saying. For the main reason was because I knew, even if I wasn't on point with my religion at that time, or I wouldn't say you're ever on point when you're practicing, but
you're trying to figure it out.
You're comparing yourself to the perfect figure. Like, you gotta give yourself
you're
a
always
little
trying.
bit. Yeah.
Back then, I wasn't necessarily trying. I was there. I was trying. My parents would tell me to pray. I prayed.
You were following orders. You were doing what you were told by your parents.
I didn't have the religion for myself.
So how did that play in your music? Like, let's get this right in here. Where did that? So you said, holy moly, I have to look at this from the long term. What do I actually want to be saying? What am I going to be proud of? Did that come into it?
Yes. Yeah.
So, and then how did that relate to what you wrote? Like,
so, knowing what I had written that would potentially open for Joel Santana, let me get this out of the way right now. I didn't actually open for Joel Santana. Him and his guys were coming to Canada, and some of them had like gun charges or something like that. And they weren't allowed in the country, so none of them came, so the show got canceled.
Yeah, but you had the opportunity, and you were going to open for it.
And I'm glad, because it was a blessing for me, because it made me reevaluate, take music a little more seriously. And what I realized was, I had to ask myself, what do I want to say in my music?
Yeah.
And then the first thing that came to mind is, I want to say what Lauryn Hill says. Because to me, she's not, as far as I know, she's not Muslim. But when I listen to her music, she's referencing the Quran, and she's referencing the Bible, and she's referencing the Torah. Same with Talib and these guys, Talib Kweli. And it's like, so I was like, how do I say what they're saying to have the effect that they had on me, right?
Yeah.
Can you list a couple lines? Like, I know this is maybe really hard, but you said you can remember, like, I'm putting you on the spot. If you can remember, do you have any of the Lauryn Hill or maybe of the Talib that you've actually thought that's not necessarily biblical, but totally is?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to go biblical, Lauryn Hill has a song called "Forgive Them, Father." Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
Okay.
Right?
Huge.
Which is from the Bible. I'm pretty sure that's.
Well, come on, like that's pretty direct. Like.
And then the other one, like on the same album, I mean, from Miseducation, like, the top 2 greatest albums ever. She also says, well, pretty much she says the chain of Shaitan wasn't made that long. Or the chain of Shaitan wasn't made that long, yeah. And Shaitan for us is like another name for the devil.
Oh.
Right? And then at the beginning of one of her songs, she's like, I'm just trying to, I mean, I don't have the lyrics down right now, but she was like, she said...
It's all good, I did totally put you on the spot.
No, that's cool.
He's the tourist for
She
putting
says
people on the
things
spot.
like, I'm just trying to find the deen, the Sirat al-Mustaqim, and Sirat al-Mustaqim in Arabic is the straight path. So she's saying these things, but then she's saying, she has a song called Forgive Them, Father, right? So when I realized that, I was like, she's saying powerful things, and what's interesting is, I'm not Christian or Catholic, but when she says something, I can't help but be like damn.
It's relatable.
That's
true,
like, right?
Yeah.
And then what I realized is, as a Muslim, I believe that my religion is my truth, a capital T truth, right? So if I want to say things like she's saying that are universal, that I can vibe with, that anybody who listens to Lauryn Hill can vibe with, then you end up, I realize I'm like, there's a bigger picture here, right? She's talking about like intrinsic universal values. Like if I tell you, oh, you should be kind to your mother, like, no one's really gonna, for the most part, no one's gonna say like, no, that's a bad idea.
That's true.
Like, everybody just kind of goes, yeah, true. You know what I mean? So I got to the point where I was like, hey, well, I want to figure out what that capital T truth is to me, and then I was like, wait a minute, I'm Muslim. For me, I have that truth, right? So it became a source of like, what am I writing about? What am I referencing?
What am I trying to get to the people with the lyrics and the song?
And it helped me figure out who I was, and it pushed me on track. From that point on, I started writing, and I remember clearly I started to really like my writing. Because I never, any writer out there is going to say they hit a point, if you're there yet, where you didn't like what you're writing, but you wrote, you knew it could be better. You wrote, you knew it could be better. And then I got to that point when I hit this realization that that my writing took off, right? And that's where I started taking music like dead serious.
That's really cool. And I wanna point something out that's like a theme of what I just heard you say. And you said like, I want to find out what's already true. And what I love is that, like, I don't know, you should be nice to your mother. Like, it's so true that it's mundane. It's so true that everyone just like nonchalantly like whatever, it just is. But I also want to point out that some huge thing for me has been when I'm trying to find the truth in other people, like this is gonna sound so corny and it's gonna be so corny. When you're trying to find like what's true outside, you look within, like that's kind of what you did. You're like, okay, well where do I already sit? And so then you took the quote unquote leap of faith, like again, direct, you know what I mean? You kind of did, and you let the inside out, and then all of a sudden people are like, well, I kind of have that soft spot for my mom, obviously too, and then, well, maybe do good for others and walk the straight path and have the higher road, and now you're getting excited because you're like, yeah, I can get behind this, man. This is me. This is true. And then people are
good.
I love that, man. I love that. Yeah. Do you find that the niche? So I was told that you were Muslim. Yeah. I didn't like see your content and be like, oh, this guy's clearly. So
yeah, that's a great point actually to get there.
Do you find the niche has helped or hindered or been just neither?
So this is an interesting thing. So I spent a lot of my life. It's a great question.
Thanks.
Because I thought about it a lot.
Okay, cool.
I spent my life outside of the Muslim community. Like you guys are here at UTM.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's here, but there's a lot of Muslims in Mississauga, and especially UTM, Mufti, everywhere now. I spent a lot of my time growing up outside of the Muslim community. when I say that, I mean like we have the mosques and we have community centers and just like any other major religion would. We have camps that kids go to and leadership camps and stuff where it's whatever. I spent a lot of my time doing all those things outside of the Muslim community. So I went to public school. I went to private school, a Muslim private school from like kindergarten to grade 2. But after that, it was public.
It's just regular public school.
And what I realized is I was kind of in between the Muslim community and I guess if you want to call it the secular community, like
the rest.
Yeah,
the rest.
Yeah, like
That's
the
just general the
specific
rest.
Muslim community
Yeah,
and then the rest of
just
the community.
everyone existing, yeah.
And to be honest, I'll just be honest, there's like,
Oh man,
Muslim
I can
world-
see you're walking on a fine line. You're like, should I
really.
say this?
No, not really.
How do I say this? And
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and it's because I want to be respectful, but at the same time, I have a reason for it. It's my reason. It's not. I'm not.
No,
You're
no.
not-
So
anybody else.
it's your
It's about
opinion and
me.
only your opinion. Your
Yeah, it's just
opinion
about
affects no
it's
one
about
except yourself.
my growth, right? So
Yeah.
I got to the point where I realized I never grew up listening to the music that came out of like, if you want to, they call them nasheed artists, but like nasheed is just an Arabic word for I believe song, or but it's more like if you want to say like church music.
Got you.
Like that's the closest thing I can relate
It's
to.
like the Muslim Christian music.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nasheed.
and it's more
Okay.
specifically about the religion, about our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and all these things, right? And I never grew up listening to that. So it wasn't something that I went to for inspiration. So when I started making music, my inspiration wasn't that music, and then I got to a point where I realized around me there wasn't anybody doing music that, in my direct circle, that was Muslim, and that I believe was doing it to a really high quality, because I was listening to like Talib. So,
Okay.
you know what I mean? So like you listen to Talib, you listen to Common, you listen to Lauryn Hill, and then on the flip side, I listen more so to a lot of like alternative rock. So I listened to like Pearl Jam back then, and I like this quality from Pearl Jam to Coldplay to U2 to Bob Dylan to Joni Mitchell. I'm like, that writing quality is next level, right? And so my thing was always get there. And to be honest, I stayed away from the Muslim community music or artist scene for a long time until the last few years.
Huge.
So I would say now I feel like I got my music to where I wanted to get it because I went after certain mentors and training, I guess if you want to call it that.
All right, welcome back. All right, so we were talking to the break, man. Raz is some serious cat. He's there's a lot about this guy that's gonna make him win, and it's not just gonna be only his music. So one thing that we were talking about, this guy, oh man, so I have a list of things that I'm learning from Raz, and at the top in caps is literally says positive attitude. So Crawford, you just nailed it.
Yes,
This guy-
I wanted to find positive attitude.
So he's sitting here with this like huge smile on his face, making eye contact. He's in the room. He's present, right? Like
he's here. We're
it
chatting.
sounds like a joke. Like it actually sounds like a joke to say that that's a skill. But like walking in with the vibe of being a positive individual. So huge thing. I asked a cat named Stefan Guy. I took him out for dinner. He had huge success in Canada. He started touring. He's doing his own thing with guitarists, specifically with bands in Canada for country guitar. He's touring. He's living the dream. I sat him down for a dinner and I asked him, Stefan, how did you do it? And his answer, like, I don't know, I was expecting, dude, A major pentatonic or something. Like, I was really expecting that, right?
Over and over.
No, but what he said, he's like, Carter, I spent $5,000 between only Mississauga and Toronto for people from the GTA, on like with no traffic. That's a 20-minute drive,
20 minutes.
right? It's not that
not far,
So
but
he made a good. Just as soon as the game, the show ends. There's like they do the last thing. They all jump on stage, cymbals, and he comes in and he shakes a hand and he just starts gently helping pack the stuff. He doesn't break it. He knows how to treat it. He knows how to wrap a wire properly. He's doing it right. He handshakes, and then all of a sudden he's, hey, my name's Stefan. What's your name? And he starts knowing these bands, and $3, $4, $5, $6, $5,000 of gas later trips out to Toronto. Now they know who Stefan Guy is. And then all of a sudden he drinks with them, he's friends with them, they hear him play, they're like, holy crap, he's serious, he's at Metalworks, okay, maybe we should take this guy, maybe, oh man, we need a backup, could you go ahead and play a song? And now all of a sudden he's got an in with the band, and he created it with himself from the attitude that Raz is showing. So like, I know that's a little bit of a rant, but you
went
totally,
off a little bit there.
dude, that's what I'm known for. But the reality is like you embody that 100%, man. So I really hope it takes you super, super far.
Thank you, man.
I love that.
So I guess getting back to traffic before the topic, I should say, not traffic, but getting back to topic, before we went to break there, it's going to be a big year for
Yeah,
you.
man, this is really awesome.
This is this year, you know, you release the one track, you have a one track.
The one song.
It's phenomenal.
Why one? What's the deal?
So I had just wrapped up finishing the EP that's coming out this summer.
Yep, this summer.
This year.
End of May, if I'm not mistaken?
Sorry, the EP hopefully towards the fall.
Fall, sorry, my mistake, I misspoke on that.
Ooh, looking at you, Baz.
I'm about to look over like SounDrives.
What
can I not say? But
I can say it. Everybody else can. No, man, I love that guy.
But
So,
Chick Chick Bang, I put it out because it wasn't a part of the EP.
Okay.
It was something I was sitting on and something that I wanted to talk about for a long time. That was sitting on my chest. And so when the EP finished, and I was like, that's wrapped up. I was like, okay, I want to get this out.
I want to do this.
And I also want, I can also leverage it as like an opportunity for people to hear me before I start dropping the records that I spent.
I'm not trying to shake your world, but here's a little taste of what's going to happen.
Exactly. That's why it's only like 2 and a bit minutes. It was supposed to just be like a social media blast
Little
kind
blast,
of thing.
but
at the same time, I mean, if you listen to the content, it's about a serious topic. So more so, that's what came first for me was like, I've been waiting to say this. I got the inspiration. My boy produced it, Taboo, Spencer at Taboo Music.
Nice. Okay.
TABU.
Shut up.
He had this beat, like he worked on it a little bit, and then it just hit me. I was like, yeah, this is the time to say this. This is gonna work. I actually have a full like 3-4 minute song with that hook.
Really?
That I just took the hook off of it. I'm like, no, we're doing this. I wrote new lyrics. I think within 9 days, I finished the writing, we finished the production, we recorded,
everything.
Mixed, mastered, shot the video,
Holy
and dropped it in like the 10th day.
Wow.
And that's how I knew it was time for it to come out because everything worked, right?
It just, and that's the thing, you just kind of vibe sometimes where everything's just falling in place, it's working, time-wise it's working.
And with the message, it was, I was on fire at that time. Like, what I was feeling kept coming and going, and I was like, I'm not letting it go this time.
So I wanted to talk, I literally wrote specific message with the question mark. You mentioned like the message is strong. I have heard the song, but I didn't. For the ignorant people like me who like rap goes by too fast and I can't notice the term. So what were you trying to get across with Chick Chick Bang?
So, I mean, I'm sure you guys know the Black Lives Matter movement.
For sure.
Just forget about the movement itself, just what's going on in society and like across the world at this point. It's been rough for minorities. It's been rough for specific like people, depending on where you're living.
Where you're
right?
from,
so in the U.S. and Canada, to be honest, there's blacks and Muslims.
It's shocking. Canada is extremely, as much as we're friendly, it is a country that is not as accepting of other people as we think
I think it's quieter. That's all it is.
It's a much quieter Russell.
Yeah. And then what was crazy to me was like, that's always been an issue for me, right? Because, I mean, I'm sure you guys hear about the terrorist stuff that goes on with Muslims, and it's always like,
and it's like they're trying to paint
that guy drove his van, like, and like
so with Chick Chick Bang, you were trying to get across like a I stand with you, brother. Is that?
Yes, but like that guy that drove his car down, where was it, in Toronto?
Where you hit a bunch of people in the van. That was
like
awful.
What was crazy to me, obviously, it was devastating.
Yeah. For sure.
What was crazy is one of the first things the media announced was like, he might be tied to a terrorist group. And I was like, you have no idea. The dude wasn't even from like an Arab, nothing, right? And what I realized is, and then later on, near Square One, there was this elderly man who was attacked in his car when with his kids in the back seat, who was Muslim. His wife was wearing a headscarf, a hijab. And he was reversing, and his reverse lights went on, and these guys walking behind the car, he saw them and stopped, like didn't actually reverse them, and started banging on the thing and yelling at him. And the reports say that they walked by the car just like yelling, like saying stuff to him, and when they looked back and saw who he was, they pulled him out of his car and beat him unconscious in front of his kids. And it's like, obviously, his wife's wearing a scarf, the dude's probably visibly Muslim, and I was like, this is Mississauga, right? And then that's what fired me up. I was like, I've been sitting on this for too long. And and then with that, for us, it's like there's Black lives, there's the LGBTQ community, there's
For sure.
all these people who, I don't care if you agree with what they stand for, what they believe in, like,
Yep.
if something like that happens as human beings, like,
Love,
there's got to be
Messed up.
something.
It's
Like,
messed up.
like
Yeah.
the shooting in New Zealand the other, like, at
Oh, that
the
was
mosque.
yeah, it was terrible.
There was a whole Jewish, I don't know if, I think it was one synagogue, like part of the Jewish community,
Yep.
came to the mosque on that Friday prayer and lined up as we walked into the Friday prayer. And I was like, this is what
standing
this
together
is what
looks
I
like.
believe in, right?
Yeah.
Because when
Yeah.
their synagogues were attacked, I believe it was in the U.S., Pennsylvania, I'm not sure, don't quote me. Like people from my community went to the synagogues.
Went there and
so,
helped.
and so I was like, it was time to get this out for
Yeah.
me personally, because I was like, I don't think I'm doing enough.
Yeah.
And that was one of my first steps, was like, let me drop this.
Love it, man.
But that's huge though, because that's taking action off seeing something, and you're just like, I'm so sick of seeing this. It's time to release something where we can all kind of stand together with, as one. And
Yeah, and that's why
this
it's,
is
the
why
Keep Your
we
Eye
do
Fired
this.
Up, that's why the song's
No, I love it.
Because-
Huge one. Like
one,
anybody who knows me in person knows that I'm actually really paying attention now. The words are coming out because it's pretty casual for Carter to talk and say like I let him slip. But so there's this conversation of like to an artist. I hear this all the time. Well, I leave the swear words in because it's how I talk, and I just like that's me being honest, and I want my art to be genuine. So this is how I am. But at the same time, if you can eloquently craft a message that doesn't need swear words, are you more accessible? Can you get more radio play? Can you get onto?
Dude,
Is that what?
100%. I'm just gonna butt in there as
Yeah,
someone
please.
that came from a radio background. Now that's ancient history now, but like when you don't swear and you have a ridiculously catchy beat with the lyrics, and so how they are so modern day appealing to everything happening now. That is what the radio should be playing.
Yeah.
It's like we don't need to have all these F bombs and S bombs and D bombs in a song to be relatable, to want to listen to it. There's no reason for that. You're just kind of filling the words with fillers that just kind of make it more relatable to the kid. Obviously, they've released here, so I'm highly anticipating the album later this year. But if that's the song, the first song, and there's not a single swear word with that kind of beat and that kind of lyric, I can't imagine what the album's going to be like. It's going to be phenomenal.
Hopefully.
Well, of course. I'm making
I hope
statements,
so.
not
I think it
questions
is.
or,
Have
you
you
know.
noticed? Have you noticed a benefit? Have you noticed a benefit?
I'll be straight up with you. I did it for me. When I made that decision, it had nothing to do with
Anyone
radio
else,
play or
just you.
anything.
Interesting.
And yeah, that sounds maybe a little self-righteous, or like I'm so focused, I'm so.
No, but that's good.
But
then.
the
So why
reality is,
action? So why action?
I did that because it was part of the time where I realized after the whole Joel's thing that I wanted to be a
What you
certain
wanted
way.
to say?
And at that same time, I was realizing that part of this whole thing was like, I wanted to take my religion more seriously. And as Muslims, we believe that anything you see, anything you hear, anything you say affects your heart. So I knew these things, right? So I was like, if I'm swearing all the time, or it's not even swearing, because I completely understand if you're making a point, right?
By saying, like this F in place or,
yeah,
exactly.
like something serious. Like when I got to start talking about this whole like Chip Chip Bang and that message, like hell yeah, of course
you were
I wanna
fired
swear,
up.
right?
You were fired up for
But as
sure.
a
But
person,
restricted you and
like
restricted
my
yourself.
parents, even especially my mom, when they raised us, they like it was never, and as Muslims too, it was always like articulate yourself. Don't like. It was almost. I got the feeling later on that it was like a cop out for me, if I felt like I had to curse to get what I'm saying out. Forget about music, just in general.
Not just
right?
in general, the message you're trying to spread. If
And
it
then
needs to have
personally,
swears,
I don't
message.
feel good when I'm swearing a lot. For whatever
Interesting.
reason, my upbringing, my religion, whatever.
Mhm.
I don't feel like myself when I swear a lot. And I'm not gonna lie, I go through phases. Right now, I'm in a phase where I'm swearing a lot,
And that's just his.
and I don't like it. But I come out of it,
Yeah.
and I go up and I go down. But I can I got an opportunity to open for Hassan Minhaj, the comedian.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, like last summer.
Last summer.
And I got to meet him, and when he performed, like, he curses.
Yep.
He's Muslim, he curses, he's practicing. And I can say that because I met him and talked to him
cool
about
guy,
it. But he has an
right.
explanation, and it has a certain effect, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's great. Cool.
Yeah.
Right? I don't necessarily agree with filler words, like you drop it, if you're talking about music specifically, you drop an F-bomb, I'm like, just write more lyrics, bro.
Yeah, write something.
You know what I
the
mean?
space.
But I can see where it's effective, but for me, it ended up being, like you were saying, if it's true to you, like, yeah, it could be true to me because that's how I speak and that's how my friends speak, but as Muslims and in general, I'm sure in other religions and just in general, we all know that we're affected by the people around.
True.
Your friends are a representation of you. So if I'm around friends that are cursing all the time, I'm going to start cursing. But that doesn't mean that if day to day I'm cursing, that's who I am. You know what I mean? For me, it's when I go back to myself.
Yeah, whoa, I'm just sitting here kind of thinking about myself, who I am now as a person, like, whoa.
And again, I'm not trying to like judge it. It's just for
No,
me,
it's
I
not
realize,
judgment, it's
I
more or
realize
less-
that when I'm with my friends every day, I might swear, and I
Right.
could say, well, that's how I talk. So I'm being honest to myself,
Right.
which is
Yeah,
fair.
that's not how I
But for
talk.
me, when I'm with my friends, I'm usually not completely myself. You know what I mean? To some extent.
There's always a
So what do
vibe
you
you
like?
get when you pick up from somebody
Yeah,
else, right?
yeah.
You
Good or
get
bad,
Good
right?
or bad,
Listen,
for sure.
one of the main human needs, like shout out to Tony Robbins, is connection. So if you're around people and that's your friend group and they're, you know, like it could be literally anything. If they're way better at tennis than you are, you're probably gonna get better at tennis by being around them all the
Playing
time.
with them,
Obviously,
yeah.
you'd have to play and get work at it.
Yeah.
Point being, like I definitely agree with you, man. You get these lean on subconsciously. So
Sorry, I guess real quick.
Yeah.
At the end of, when that came about, I started realizing the leverage I would have potentially on the
Kinda after.
radio and commercially, because I'm honing in on how to get aggressive
Yeah.
and say what I need to say and make an impact and shock somebody or shock myself without getting into that. And then I realized that who I'm trying to be, as I'm trying to reach out to a lot of youth, and I don't think anybody would agree that an 8-year-old dropping an F-bomb in front of their parents
That's
is
appropriate.
cool, right?
No, it's not
So
even-
that was
not
something
even
for me
appropriate.
personally that I was like, it's not something I represent.
You know, that's
But,
another thing that's rattling in my head too. Like one thing that is very cool is to be able to sit down with anybody of any culture,
Yeah.
regardless of faith, regardless of, I know we started with does the Muslim, like does that affect your songwriting, like, but you could sit down with like a 97-year-old like person from Kentucky and you could show them Chick Chick Bang, and they could, just the same as someone who's supporting the Black Lives Matter movement, get behind the vibe of the song. And what they're not going to or what they're not going to be is excluded from liking it just because there's all these
Yes.
F-bombs and N-word, like all these really bad, like you just don't want it in there. I want to ask you, did you then, so you talked about taking the high road, I'm going to put you on the spot. Did you take the high road to learn intentionally better vocabulary to put in those 2-syllable places? Did you just always try and just stay away from it and you got better over time, or how does that look for you?
I don't think it was such a conscious decision because
So it just
swearing
kind of
has
played
never
out. It's
been.
kind of played out.
It's never
Yeah, it's
something
never
done.
been like
Got you.
a habit.
A habit.
A habit. I think my habit is I go through phases with it. You know what I mean?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that
So
is
it's
the
never
habit.
been a habit for me where constantly I was cursing, where if I wrote naturally that would go into, and then I had to be like, well, I got to take that out. You know what I mean? It wasn't a highlight in the first place.
True.
It wasn't something I was doing already.
True.
So I don't feel like I really had to step back.
Got
And be,
you.
like I never wanted to drop an F-bomb and then say, okay, what do I have to change?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Interesting.
So you just
I
wrote
think this is when I
without it.
started
Yeah,
writing
you just wrote without it.
the way I
Gotcha.
wanted to write it.
Got you. I think that's pretty. I appreciate that answer, man. That was actually a really good.
It's genuine. It's genuine. You
I
know,
liked
it's,
it.
It's right from the heart. It's being honest with ourselves. You know, it's just being, this is what I wanted to do. This is what I did, and this is how I did it. And I didn't need to take this path to do it.
And I do feel like I have a responsibility to some extent because if I'm trying to do what I'm trying to do, I don't like artists or celebrities or whatever, people with influence, who say, well, I don't make music to be a role model. Or I'm not a superstar athlete to be a role model. I get that everybody has the right to do whatever they want to do, but
Yeah.
for me personally, I'm like, part of it has always been, if I get to that stage, God willing, I have a responsibility. I think that comes from my religion too, but it's like, I have a responsibility, and so that plays into it too.
You know, I want to point this out to you because you've triggered this in my own head a couple times, and it's a really cool thing that I tell myself all the time in anything that I do, and you've gone over the same principle twice but never hit on it. It's lift small weights like big weights. So that's the thing. So the very beginning of your writing, you put, do I really want to say this? Are you like your Muslim religion? And then right now you said, well, if I'm going to be a big role model later, I might as well be a good shepherd of the small role model I am now. And it's that mentality. Like, that's part of what I actually saw, like from just hearing from these cats and then also meeting you in person. Like, you have this lift, do it right now while it's very little weights. Like, when you're squatting with 27 pounds, get your form right. Because then when it's 270 pounds, or maybe that's small, I don't know, like way more than that. Like when it goes bigger, your form is right. There you well, eventually, right?
Eventually,
so,
no,
but you have to lift the 20 right, or else by the time it's 270, you're throwing your back out. So if you were trying to become a better role model as time went on, you might not be able to catch up to yourself versus just doing it quote unquote right from the get-go. You're already being the good role model and you're ready to go. So that's something
that's the perfect
lift small weights like big weights. Man, it's such an easy, simple thing, and I do it all the time. Like whether it's investing, whether it's lifting literal weights, whether it's doing radio, whether it's all these other things. It's like, just do the smallest thing as well as I possibly can with the right form, and then when it's a big thing, I've already got the form and I'm just in the same rhythm. I love that, man, and you're already doing it subconsciously, so I wanted to put words to it, see if it helps.
For sure. I mean, I wouldn't say that, I wouldn't say that it's something that I came up with myself. I played a lot of sports growing up, so I got the opportunity to play baseball for like really high level, like elite. Got to travel to the U.S.
Oh wow!
Had some scholarship offers and stuff. My older brother played scholarship offers. I played football for a long time and went to Western and tried out for that team. And so I got to play sports at a high level, and that's where I got that from.
Nice.
Is because if you know how to hit a curveball. If you know the technique to hit a curveball and to recognize a curveball as coming at you, and you practice that over and over and over, more so than when you get to the heavyweight or when you're more so than I think you were saying when the heavyweights come, you're ready to go.
You're already in form.
Yeah.
I think for me, more so it was when that heavyweight comes or that curveball is thrown to you in the bottom of the ninth and there's a guy on third.
Yeah.
It's second nature.
Huge.
More so than
to know what to do.
You know what I mean? It becomes subconscious.
Huge. Love it.
And for me, that was the biggest thing. Is like, I don't want to have to think about hitting the curveball in the bottom of the ninth with a guy on third down by one.
I'm just ready to.
Right?
Yeah.
And for me, second nature is the biggest thing. And that I took that from sports, which shout out to my parents, and they pushed me through that. And,
those are the things that help kids. Honestly, you know, it's like.
And that's where I think you get to mastery. Eventually.
Dude, 100%. So there's the levels of mastery, and I hope I do not mess this up. So there's the incompetent person, right? This is so important because you're actually getting to something really crucial. Where when you first start out, like guys, when I first started out playing guitar, I was brutal. Like it was horrible. I can't believe my parents let me continue playing. I didn't know how bad I was, right? And then the second stage, I believe, is you become aware of how, so it's conscious incompetence. You're like, man, I really suck at this, right? You just there's a realization, and it almost made me quit guitar, actually. It really almost did.
That's the hardest
like,
stage.
dude, getting to this point where you just realize, like, oh, man.
Usually you've been doing it long enough that you're seeing other kids do it, and you're like,
or even,
so good.
dude, this is the worst. Is I'm 25 and I see a 16-year-old who shreds harder than I can. So, dude, I can't. So that's that. And then there's I believe the next one is conscious competence, where I know that I know a lot. So that's where I'm at right now. Where I'm at, like, I know like every position, every key. I just know it, man. I've been doing it long enough. I've been playing all these different things. I know all the chords. I know a lot of the inversions. I'm not gonna say I'm a master yet, because the next stage is unconscious or unconscious competence, where it's this second nature, which is what you're talking about. So it's not in the conscious mind, dude. You could never think fast enough to hit the curveball because your brain doesn't literally work fast enough for it to go past the bats. But you're practicing it day in, day out, and I love that, man. That same mentality is going to cause you to win. Dude, I can't actually, Crawford's like sent me a list of things to say, and I don't know how to read it.
It's legible.
So I love that, man. I think like lift small weights, like lift small weights like big weights, the second nature thing, it's a great place to end it, man. Dude, Raz, it was awesome to have you in this studio.
It was awesome.
It was really fun to talk to you, man.
These are good questions.
Dude, thank you,
Got
thank
me
you.
going.
I have like 7 or 8 more questions. We're gonna get them on DriveWire Beyond. We're gonna get them on the social. We're gonna get them on YouTube, on Insta, on wherever we can figure that all out. We're gonna get our games together, I promise. That way you guys can see what's extra. I want to talk to you. You have a release coming out of a song, but not right away. It's still a little bit down the road.
Yeah, I apologize to anybody who thinks it's coming out tomorrow. We kind of said that.
We
It's
maybe
been
teased
pushed,
it for
but you guys, you'll know when it's coming.
You'll know when
the
it's
new release
coming.
plan is going to be awesome.
Well-
We're excited. It's just not going to
Say we can talk a little bit about that once we come back from music break.
Yeah, we're gonna come back. We have a couple more minutes. We're gonna get you a summary. We're gonna close out. We got a few tunes. What's the actual name of the tune? What's coming up?
Crab Bucket by Chaos.
Oh,
Cool.
It's a good tune. All right, good listen. See you, Avery.
on the first of those days, and I was like, so I messaged him and I'm like, hey man, I'm like 2 hours south of Copenhagen. I'm gonna come see you.
Come on, hang out with you guys.
And I just, my band that I was with and my buddy Darian, who's been there since I started making music, came to Germany with me on the tour to support me.
Yeah.
They dropped me at a random train station in like the countryside. Made my way up to Copenhagen, like slept at the train station, whatever. And my whole plan was I just want to shake this man's hand.
Wow.
Because I've been writing for him, but I know it could be a huge network for me.
Huge help.
I literally told him, I'm like, hey man, you're gonna be my mentor. And
You just told him it wasn't
luckily,
even a question.
thank
It's like,
God,
you're
he
going
was
to be
like,
my
he was like,
mentor.
yeah, cool. And
That's
he
cool.
kind of guided me through. But when I got there, my whole plan was to get set up in Germany. I was sleeping in the attic of the guitarist from the band in Germany. Yeah.
Whoa.
In a small town, Oberwinter, just outside of Cologne, and in Germany. And
Was that before or after the handshake?
this is before.
Got you.
So we went on tour. They dropped me off to meet him,
Yeah.
and then when I came back, my plan was to stay in Germany. So then I was staying in the attic of this lovely family,
Right.
my friend Frida and his mom and his little sister. And my whole plan was to stay there and start getting my music going. I had the band here. They had the rehearsal room, like their own thing. And so I got there. Tour started right away. Got to Copenhagen to meet Sam, and we were there for like 3 days. And one of those nights, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna pick you up. I gotta go pick up some stuff from the store. I want to chat with you." I was like, "Okay, cool."
Cool.
So I jump in the car,
Chance.
and the first thing he says is, "Hey man, I think you should go home." And I'm like,
Whoa.
"I just
Dude,
What?
it
Like,
probably went from like, I'm just imagining like 10 out of 10, smile ear to ear, like, dude, this is
Super
awesome,
hyped
to like, damn,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
So, he gave you a good reason though. I asked you earlier.
100%.
What did he say?
He said to me, which I didn't agree with at the time, he said, excuse me, he's never seen an artist blow up, or get a loyal following, a loyal fan base, which means more to me now,
Yeah.
a loyal fan base outside of their own community. And when he told me that,
Interesting.
I kind of disagreed. I was like, man, you're a lot older than me. You were making, you had platinum records
Yeah.
before YouTube even came out, like, whatever. I don't think you're right. Wrapped it up with him. I mean, I appreciated it. I didn't say that
Sure.
to him. I appreciated
Sure.
it. I understood what he was saying. Went back to Germany. About 2 months later, I literally randomly woke up and was like, I gotta go home.
It's not working like he said it
Like
was.
it was working. Like I was doing whatever I needed to do.
Oh,
But the
interesting.
biggest thing that happened was my visa didn't come through. So at the time, it was really easy for me to get a visa, a work visa to stay in Germany.
Yeah.
But I had to do it within 90 days. And it's an easy process if you're coming from Canada under a certain age, at least
Yep.
at that time. And I filed for it, and I wasn't hearing back. And on like I don't know, like, it was just coming up to the 90-day mark or whatever.
Yeah.
I called back in, and the manager at the visa office or whatever was like, yeah, same guy I'd been talking to for a while was
Yep.
like, actually, I just looked in the filing area, and whoever put this in 4 weeks ago never actually mailed it.
Oh,
man.
So he was like, I was like, well, what do I do? And he was like, well, if you plan on coming back and staying in Germany, he's like, I would go home. Because if you overstay, and then you try to come back, they're going to question you. They're going to be like, why did you come? So that was part of it. But I made the decision before that happened. I was like, I got to go home.
Yeah,
and then that kind of sealed it. So
Yeah.
from God, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And I
it
came
just
home
felt right.
just to work on that first album. Some of the songs, that was end of 2013.
Oh,
And
wow.
some of the songs from that album are on my new EP. But yeah, now I realized how right he was, and he's been mentoring me. Like through him, I got the opportunity to write on a few things that Yusuf Islam, he's a convert to Cat Stevens, that he got to write on, like stuff that we were all writing on together.
Yeah.
And he mentored me through all of this. So My World, the track that's coming out very soon, is something that I got the vocals from him like 5 years ago.
Whoa.
4 years ago. It's been
Crazy.
a long. And he's in Copenhagen, so he comes to Toronto for this big like Islamic conference every year usually. And one night on like Christmas Eve, we got the vocals.
Can I maybe get you to come over and do some vocals?
Yeah, what was crazy is it was like the Wednesday and the Friday was that conference that he usually comes and performs at. Reviving the Islamic Spirit, that's what it's called. So he usually comes, and on like the Wednesday, like December 23rd or something, he's like, hey man, so I'm actually coming, let's record that track.
Whoa,
And
surprise!
I gotta book a studio on Christmas Eve.
I have to cancel
Awesome.
the parties. I have to do all
It
of
was
this.
like-
Yeah, but
Yeah.
and how
But he
hard
stayed
was
there
it to
for
get
4
the
hours.
studio for Christmas Eve? Like,
Man,
is that a
it
recording
was
time?
tough. So they booked it for the Friday night, which was, I believe that was Christmas Eve or the 23rd.
Okay,
Something like that.
something.
So I booked it for the Friday night. He came in, like Isam flew in earlier that Friday.
Okay.
When he landed and like got to the Metro Toronto Convention Center where this big conference is going on,
Yeah.
I got an email from the studio saying, oh hey man, I thought it was for Saturday, so I booked the engineer for Saturday.
No,
So I'm
God.
freaking out because at this point
Oh,
I didn't
man.
have the relationship I have right now with Isam.
Yeah.
And he was like, I wrote
Freaking
My
out.
World, and when I wrote the chorus, I was like, actually Darren, my buddy, was like, Sam's got to sing this, and I was like, yeah, for sure, fits in
Yes,
perfectly.
it's perfect.
And that's how I go with my songs. I don't go after features. I go after whatever's best for the
Fits,
song,
sounds
right?
right.
But I was like, damn, that's a good feature, right?
Yeah.
So I was like on edge. He got there as soon as he landed. He's like, yeah, man, the airline lost my luggage, so I don't have any luggage. He didn't have a toothbrush. He was
Oh
supposed to be
my
wearing
God.
a suit on stage the next day. He was wearing the same hoodie he flew in.
Oh no.
And I felt so
I
bad.
feel bad.
And
yeah.
then I was like, yeah, so the studio like messed up the timing, but I had a studio, we had just built a studio in my basement with the guys I was working with.
Whoa.
So we went from Toronto, I called Darian, my buddy who's in Ajax, and I was like, man, you gotta get to my house in Brampton and like set up the mic, because the engineer and the producer I was working with was in Pakistan at the time.
Oh
And
man.
I didn't know how to run Logic, because it only works on a Mac, and I didn't have a Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my buddy drives from Ajax to Brampton, sees my parents, and is like, hey, so Isam's coming over. I gotta set up the studio. And
Yeah.
in the meantime, we're having like dinner with Isam, and I'm trying to act like everything's okay.
Everything's cool.
I had some awesome friends with me. that
Did you
were-
even tell him that the plan switched?
I told him when he landed, I was like, hey, it messed up,
Oh, so
but
you
yo,
did tell him.
we can
But
go
we're
back to
gonna
my
go to
place
this
and
one.
let's
Yeah,
grab
yeah,
these vocals, right?
yeah.
So we get there, and we're all set up. He comes into the little basement studio. It's all crowded. We have a drum kit. We had everything, like this tiny room. He meets my parents, said some like amazing things to them. Like just like he walked in, and my parents at the time, I didn't think they believed that I was working with the type of people I was working with,
Mm.
and they were still like, yeah. So when you going to med school, or when you going to
Yeah,
med
they
school?
didn't believe it yet.
And then he walks in the door, and they know who he is. And he
Yes.
walks in, and I stayed with him in Germany, so they knew.
Yeah.
He walks in, and he's like, "You have a really," he's like, "Just so you know, like you have a really talented son." And they both stopped, and that was like that meant so much to me.
Yeah.
And then he went downstairs, so he was exhausted. Went downstairs. He's like, "Oh, I really like this space." He's like, "This is where all the magic is made, right? In the basement studio." And he's been there. He's been on stage in front of 40,000, 60,000.
Yeah.
So it was cool. Get everything set up, and Darian literally installed Logic on his computer when he got there, and then tried to.
Whoa.
And what's
Whoa.
crazy is Logic. You need a separate app apparently to turn on the phantom in the mic.
Whoa.
You can't just flick it on.
Whoa.
Or sorry, not Logic. Apogee. We have an Apogee interface.
Oh, okay.
And the Apogee needs
That's
you can't
it.
flick it
That's
on.
it.
Yeah.
So I learned this last year, and I was like, that's why this was never gonna work. So
This is
Darian
sad.
gets all set up. Isam's listening to the track. He's like, okay, let's go.
I can vibe with
He
this.
gets up and gets into the little closet booth,
Nothing comes out.
and
No
Darian's
sound.
looking at me, and he's like,
No sound.
No.
nah. He shakes his head, and I'm like,
No.
so now it wasn't working. He was exhausted. He was excited. Now he's obviously frustrated.
Yeah,
I was
that's not
frustrated,
working.
and I'm like, yo, forget it. And we're in Brampton from Toronto. He's staying at the Fairmont Royal York in Toronto.
Yeah.
So I'm like, where I was like, okay, let's wrap, let's just cut it.
Yeah.
You're exhausted, forget it. I'll see if the studio can do it tomorrow night. If you're down, Saturday night, I'm like, if you're down, let's do that. If not, cool.
Even though you still
what it
had
is.
this Saturday studio booking kind of already accidentally happened.
Yeah. So then we drive back, and he like falls asleep in the car on the way home, and I'm like on the bike back to Toronto, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So Saturday rolls around. I mean, he still doesn't have letters. My parents were amazing. They gave him like a toothbrush,
Nice.
shaving cream and stuff. It was nuts.
Very, very, very
And
friendly.
I was super stressed. We get to the studio on Saturday and got the vocals, and it was nuts. But I think it really. He told me after we finished at the studio on the Saturday night, everything went well. He stood there. He performed at the conference for like, I don't know, 20 minutes or something. So we had rehearsals. He performed. He did an autograph signing. Jumped in a cab with me and went straight to the studio and stood for 4 hours and 15 minutes
Wow.
and didn't stop.
Whoa.
Like there's
just a
layers
go
of his
day.
vocal on this track, and it sounds really big, like his octaves that he jumped.
Yeah.
But there's like, I think there's 12 other vocal layers that he did that we didn't use. Like he went
Wow.
in,
Yeah.
and I was like, why is this guy doing
Yo,
this?
so
You know
one
what I mean?
huge thing that I've learned from Mr. Nelson, he probably got it from someone, I don't know, I'm finding most of his stuff's like from other people. This cat says the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So Esam B is like crushing it. Doesn't matter if he's sweeping the floor, he's doing it with 12 layers, you know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
I love to hear that because this guy, he's exhausted, everything's
And it's
going
me.
against him.
Like-
This is his positive, yeah,
I
and
had
he's doing it
nothing,
for a friend.
right?
But you also though is reciprocation because you literally flew across the world and you traveled just to shake this guy's
Just to see the guy.
hand.
Yeah,
That's what I
just
heard
to
you
meet
say.
him.
So you also like brought that on yourself. Like you know what I mean? You showed him to like, hey man, you are so important to me that I will literally fly from my brown ass from Brampton to Germany to talk. You know what I mean? Like that's a big deal.
Yeah, 100%.
So then he likes you. You're in his crew, and then he performs for you. And when he performs, it's not just for you. It's for him. He
100%.
crushes hard. So that was really cool to hear you say that.
Yeah. I guess to bring it full circle, now we have a relationship where, like, he's a straight up mentor to me, especially being Muslim. He's also Muslim in the music. Like I think he's with Warner right now. I think Outlandish, his band before, his group before was with Sony. So like they're platinum selling
Yeah,
records.
platinum
like, they're
records.
gold, what, a couple silvers, I think, I don't know, but they've done it. And he's Muslim, and there's not a lot of Muslims that I was exposed to, more so now, that I was exposed to that were still very much practicing, but that were in an entertainment or music industry to that extent. So I really brought him on I really wanted him as a mentor because I was like, yo, if I want to